Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GCP with Mahesh. So today we'll discuss about TerramEarth's case study. So there are a couple of sections which we have not discussed in the previous video, so I thought of discussing it. So the sections which was not discussed previously was business requirement and technical requirements. Let's go through to that today. The first requirement under business requirement is decrease unplanned vehicle downtime to less than 1 week. So currently it is like if the vehicles does not have the spare parts, the vehicles maybe cannot be replaced for almost for 4 weeks. This has to be reduced to 1 week, so that is the main important thing. So based on our previous video, so if we use BigQuery as the data warehouse, there's a high chance that they can get up-to-date information, query the data faster. There's a high chance they can reduce this downtime. So BigQuery could be a possible data warehouse for this part. Moving on to the next requirement, support the dealer network with more data on how their customer use their equipment to better position new products and services. This may be slightly different from what we are thinking. So if you look into this requirement, it's basically a recommendation. So based on how they are using the equipment could be tractors or any vehicles which is used in the farm or in the mining place. So you give recommendations. So this is basically machine learning come into picture. So if you look into this IoT architecture, so this component machine learning, cloud machine learning engine or AI platform, now it's renamed as AI platform, it could be of importance. So this could be a this thing choice. Moving on to the next part, have the ability to partner with different companies, especially with seed and fertilizer suppliers in a fast growing agriculture business to create compelling joint offering to their customers. So if you look into this at a first shot, if you see, this does not look like any technical requirement which you can match. But if you take a deeper look, have the ability to partner with different companies, especially with seeds and fertilizer supply. So what it indicates technically, if you see, you may need to expose certain APIs. As TerramEarth, the vehicles from TerramEarth, they're generating lots of information. All those things are captured in a system, in an infrastructure. Now, if you want to partner with maybe seeds and fertilizer suppliers, you may need to expose certain APIs, and they should be able to also interact with your system. So you in the case the TerraMerge. So in this case, exposing APIs, all those things, there's a chance that you may get questions on cloud endpoint. That is one choice. And the partners don't need to build a new authentication system. They may need to just use your own authentication system. They can just use the OAuth feature so that they don't need to have their own authentication system to authenticate your API. So that is another thing, possible choice. So at the first shot, it does not look like a specific question, technical question, but when you go deeper, you may feel like integration systems, APIs, endpoints, OAuth. So you may get some questions on these important topics. So that's the business requirement. Moving on to the technical requirement, expand beyond a single data center to decrease latency to American Midwest and East Coast. So if you look into the case study, they are currently in one single region, to be very specific, in a specific zone. Now, if you want to expand, definitely they want to expand between US West and East. So you can expect few questions of where you want to have a multi-regional resources. It could be virtual machines because they have a virtual machine requirement, right? So this virtual machine, you can have it as an instance group, one in US West, one in US East. That is a possible thing. And we have data warehouse, which is BigQuery. Definitely you can use US as the multi-region resource, so then it can be helpful there. Then we have data flow, we have PubSub. Definitely you can make it as multi-regional thing. So that is one option. Create backup strategy. So what is the most important thing in TerraMerge? Data, almost like a huge amount of data. Like if you look into the details, um, only like 200k vehicles, they themselves are creating almost like 9 terabytes, and we almost have 20 million vehicles. So only 200k vehicles have cellular network, so they themselves generate 9 terabytes. And if the remaining 20 million vehicles, which is not connected to a network, they usually get the data transferred when they come to the service station or service place, then the amount of data would be really, really huge. So creating a backup strategy, maybe primarily it is talking about storage. So Google Cloud Storage could be a good choice in this case, where you can have a storage bucket, and based on the requirement, it could be a regional one or a multi-regional one. It's for backup purpose. I would preferably use a regional one, so that I can specify whether it has to be in US West or in US East. But if you see, the requirement says that they want to expand beyond it. So this is for the production part. So if you still want to be on the safer side, a multi-regional option where you select US would be a choice. And the most important thing is, because it's a DR, the storage has to be either nearline or cold line based on the requirement. So it has to be only these two. It cannot be multi-regional or regional. So that's something which you need to keep in mind. So that's the part. Then increase the security of the data transfer from equipment to the data center. So the first part is, if you look into this part, the data, so you can just ignore this part, the edge part. The vehicles coming, the data generated from tractors or any devices, they first hit IoT core. So definitely you need to make sure the data transferred securely. And when it comes to storage options and all, by default, if you see, it's turned on with encryption. So the data is secure. It's encrypted during transit and during rest, during at rest. So that is one thing you need to keep in mind. And even you can make sure the necessary security steps are taken into consideration when the data hits your IoT core. So there are some mechanisms there. You can look into the IoT core documentation. So you may expect some questions on IoT core. That is one thing. And if it comes to storage part, security related to the data transfer, then by default in Google Cloud Storage, if you don't even do anything, it is by default Google Manage Encryption Key. So it's something by default, I would say. But based on the question, if they ask something like customer managed supply key or customer supplied encryption key, then still we have an option in GCP. The next part is an interesting one, I would say. Improve the data in the data warehouse. So huge amount of data is already generated, and if you move to GCP, every data would be in our BigQuery. Now the data may not be of its good quality. It may not have been inserted with a good quality. So there may be few garbage contents. You need to clean it up or improve the quality of the data. So data is already in your BigQuery. So if it was not in BigQuery, definitely people would have told like you can use data flow or data prep to clean it and do it. Uh, but here the requirement is improve the data in the warehouse itself, meaning the data is already in the warehouse. So in that case, what can you do? Think about it. One thing which I think is BigQuery ML, machine learning in BigQuery. You can do those things so that you can increase the quality of the data. That is one thing. Um, or if you feel machine learning is not a good choice, what you can do is read read from the data from the BigQuery, and make sure you use data flow. The input to data flow is your BigQuery, and the output again would be back to your BigQuery. So that could be another option, uh, with a combination of ML, where you can see what fields are important. And once you decide what fields are important, you need to have some ETL process. So then you can use your data flow to clear, like run your pipeline and update your data. So that could be a choice. A combination of machine learning, BigQuery ML plus data flow could be a choice in this one. And the last part, use customer and equipment data to anticipate customer needs. So this is again based on machine learning, like predicting based on what they have. So you try to predict your customer needs, whether there'll be more requirements for like tractors to be manufactured, or would there be any more requirement for creating, like keeping the clutch plates of the vehicles well in advance. So it could be all based on that. And again, your cloud machine learning will come into picture. So those are the things which I had missed in my previous video series. So I thought of adding it today. So hope the video is helpful. Thank you for watching.